A sitting president of the United States picked up his phone, called the head of FIFA, and asked him to overturn a red card in the middle of a World Cup. 24 hours later, his own team got destroyed 4-1. And the team that beat them didn't just win, they mocked him, live, on camera, in front of the entire world. This isn't a rumor. This isn't a hot take from some corner of the internet. This actually happened in July 2026 on American soil during the biggest tournament on the planet. And by the time we're done, you're going to understand exactly how a single phone call turned a soccer match into one of the strangest political stories of the year. Let's start from the beginning. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. I subscribe. And I'll personally welcome you into the family. With that said, let's get started. The red card. July 1st, 2026. Team USA is playing Bosnia-Herzegovina in the round of 32. Folarin Balogun, the USA's leading scorer at the tournament, on loan from Monaco, arguably their most dangerous attacking player, scores the opening goal. Big moment. Home crowd is going wild. Then, later in the match, Balogun goes into a challenge with Bosnian defender Tarik Muharrimovic. Two guys running full speed. Legs tangle. Balogun's studs catch Muharrimovic's ankle. The referee, Rafael Claus, gets called to review it. In a move that's actually unusual by World Cup video review protocol, he's shown slow-motion replays of the incident, multiple angles, in slow motion, frame by frame. And based on what he sees, he rules it serious foul play. Red card. Balogun is sent off. Under FIFA's rules, that's automatic. A red card in the group or knockout stage means a one-match ban. No appeal process that moves fast enough to matter. No gray area. That's just how it works. For every player, from every country, in every World Cup, since the rule existed. Except this time, it didn't work that way. The phone call. Here's where the story stops being about soccer. Somewhere between that red card and USA's next match against Belgium, President Trump got involved. Not through a public statement first, through a phone call, directly to FIFA President Gianni Infantino, a man Trump has a famously close relationship with. In fact, just 7 months earlier, Trump had received the FIFA Peace Prize at the Kennedy Center. These two men know each other well. On the call, according to Trump himself, he didn't order Infantino to do anything. His words, "All I did was ask for a review. I didn't say, you have to do this." But he made his opinion very clear. Trump said he didn't think Balogun's tackle was even a foul. He described it as two guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. He called the referee a little bit suspect. He said the ban would be a big stain on the tournament if Balogun couldn't play. And here's the twist that made this so strange. Trump later admitted in the Oval Office that he didn't actually know what a red card meant at first. His quote, "I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. And then I started hearing that that means you can't play in the next game." So think about that for a second. A US president made a direct call to the head of world soccer's governing body over a rule he admits he didn't fully understand yet about a decision that was supposed to be untouchable. And then, it got overturned. The reversal. On Sunday, FIFA announced that Balogun's suspension had been suspended using Article 27 of FIFA's disciplinary code, a provision that technically allows judicial bodies to pause a sanction and place the player on a kind of probation instead. FIFA insisted this was a normal legal mechanism, applied independently, with no political pressure involved. Trump didn't wait for anyone else to frame the story. Within hours, he posted on Truth Social, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice." That's when things got messy fast. Infantino, sensing the firestorm building, put out a lengthy statement trying to separate the phone call from the decision. He confirmed the call happened. He didn't deny it. But he insisted, FIFA's judicial bodies are independent. They operate autonomously, apply the FIFA disciplinary code, and decide cases based on the applicable regulations and the specific facts before them. He added that he regularly takes calls from heads of state and football officials around the world as if to say, this wasn't special treatment, this was just Tuesday. Almost nobody bought that framing. The world reacts. Within a day, UEFA European Soccer's governing body, one of the most powerful organizations in the sport, issued a statement saying FIFA had, in their words, crossed a red line and put the integrity of the game at stake. Think about how big that is. UEFA doesn't usually publicly call out FIFA mid-tournament. This is like one branch of a global institution accusing another branch of corruption, live, in front of billions of viewers. The Belgian Football Association went even further. They said they were astonished by the decision. They pointed out that FIFA's own Article 66.4 makes a one-match ban automatic after a red card with no exceptions written anywhere. They accused FIFA of essentially inventing a loophole in real time to protect the tournament's co-host, and they said the timing effectively killed any real chance for Belgium to challenge it before kickoff. The Belgian coach didn't even frame it as, "We're mad because we might lose." He told reporters the federation would fight this to defend, quote, football in general. It defends its integrity. It defends its ethics. That's not the language of a team panicking about one player. That's the language of a federation saying, this could set a precedent for the entire tournament. And they were right to worry about precedent because almost immediately, a similar situation popped up. England defender Jarell Quansah was sent off after his own VAR review that same weekend, and under the exact same rules, was now facing a one-game ban of his own. Suddenly every fan, every federation, every journalist was asking the same question. If FIFA bent the rules once for the tournament's co-host under presidential pressure, are they now obligated to bend them for literally anyone else who calls? Even in US politics, this thing had legs. New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani had criticized the original red card as unfair before the reversal happened. When a reporter later asked why he hadn't commented on FIFA's about face, he responded with a meme with a soccer manager's face captioned, "I really prefer not to speak." Even people who agreed the red card was harsh didn't want to touch how it got overturned. Meanwhile, the US soccer kept Balogun away from cameras. He didn't speak publicly. Instead, he posted a photo of himself in front of fans, soundtracked to Michael Jackson's Bad. Whether that was defiance or just a coincidence, people read into it either way. Monday night, kickoff. So now picture the atmosphere walking into that round of 16 match. Seattle. A packed home crowd. The tournament's co-host, USA, going up against Belgium, a team that had just spent 48 hours publicly furious, motivated, and, by their own admission, playing with something to prove. Belgium midfielder Nicolas Raskin said it plainly after the match. There was a sense of injustice within the squad, and we were determined to respond on the field. And respond they did. Belgium came out fast. Charles de Ketelaere opened the scoring in the 9th minute off a scramble in the box. The US clawed one back before halftime through a deflected Malik Tillman free kick. For a moment, it looked like it might stay a contest. It didn't. De Ketelaere struck again minutes later with a headed goal. Then, in the 57th minute, US goalkeeper Matt Freese came off his line to intercept a long ball, missed his kick entirely, and gifted Belgium a third goal through Hans van Aken. Final score, 4-1. Not a nail-biter. A statement. Overturn this. Here's the moment that turned this from a bad loss into a viral story. After Belgium's fourth goal, their official team account posted a photo of the celebration with a two-word caption, "Overturn this." That's it. That's the whole post. And it exploded. Then, on a later goal, several Belgian players were caught on camera doing Trump's signature two-fisted dance move, mocking him, directly, mid-celebration, in a stadium full of American fans. The reactions online were brutal. One widely shared post compared the loss to another recent embarrassment, joking that it hadn't been this bad since we lost that war we started with Iran like 3 weeks ago. Sports commentator Skip Bayless, posting to millions of followers, said Team USA might have actually been better off fighting as the hopeless underdog without Balogun in the lineup at all, arguing the whole saga had flipped the psychological script on the team. Golf and sports writer Shane Ryan put it even more bluntly. He said he believed in the psychological impact of narratives on teams, that USA had built up a wave of good vibes over the tournament, and in the 48 hours before kickoff, that vibe vanished, replaced by a storm of political controversy that turned them, fairly or not, into the villains of the story. Even Iran's Football Federation weighed in afterward, with a spokesperson framing the American loss as something bigger than sports, saying, in their words, that the whole world was dancing to celebrate politics' humiliating defeat by football. But did it actually matter? Here's the part that makes this genuinely interesting instead of just a pile-on. The US players themselves didn't buy the narrative. Midfielder Tyler Adams was asked directly whether the controversy affected the team's performance. His answer, "I don't think that noise or anything affected us by any means. If anything, it probably uplifted us in a sense." Head coach Mauricio Pochettino was even more direct. "It didn't affect our performance. It's not an excuse." Pochettino, who played in a World Cup himself for Argentina back in 2002, actually leaned into the moment differently. He talked about how, in the culture he came from, soccer isn't just a game, it's closer to religion. His point wasn't that the controversy hurt the team. It was exactly the kind of chaos that proves how powerful the sport is, how it can pull a president, a mayor, entire federations, and millions of fans into the same conversation. Balogun, for his part, stayed composed publicly. After the match, he went and personally congratulated Belgium's coaching staff, saying he hoped, quote, that the controversy wouldn't overshadow what had otherwise been a strong tournament for him personally. So who's right? The players insisting it made zero difference on the field? Or the commentators who think you can inject a presidential phone call into a locker room 48 hours before kickoff and expect absolutely nothing to change? Why this actually matters? Step back from the scoreline for a second, because the bigger story isn't really about one match. It's about precedent. There is no known case in the history of the World Cup of a political leader directly pressuring FIFA about who gets to play in a specific game, let alone a knockout match that decided whether the host nation advanced. Trump has used sports as a political stage before. Earlier in 2026, he celebrated the U.S. men's ice hockey team's Winter Olympics win as proof America was, in his words, winning again. But this was different. This wasn't cheering a result. This was reaching directly into the machinery of the tournament before the result even happened. And it raises a question that FIFA is going to have to answer sooner or later. If a suspension can be quietly suspended for one country's star player after a call from that country's president, is FIFA now obligated to do the same for the next politically connected federation that asks? Once that door is open, on what grounds do you ever close it again? That's not a hypothetical. It happened within days with the Kwanzaa situation in the England setup, raising the exact same question all over again. So here's where this actually leaves us. Belgium didn't need controversy to be a good team. They proved that on the field, fair and square, 4-1. But the reason the entire soccer world is still talking about this match isn't the scoreline. It's the two words posted after the final whistle, overturn this. Should politics ever get a say in how a World Cup match is officiated, even when it's your own country asking? Or should the rules stay untouchable, no matter who's on the phone? Tell me where you land in the comments, and if this is the first time you're hearing about overturn this, it will not be the last time you see it.